Manuel Ponce, Project Addendum. Project Addendum, it's an advocation of Peter Joseph's Zeitgeist movement, in sense, and other philanthropists and activists out there advocating positive social reform. Manny Leonard, Michael Moore, Noam Chomsky, Jack Frisco. Basically what Project Addendum is doing is basically it's interlinking a series of factors that are relevant for the addressment of positive social reform, placing them as the pinnacle in a spectrum, and just, and giving you basically the protagonist and antagonist view of the subject or issue in addressment, so that you can have a better view of who you are and what your position in the spectrum is. About Zeitgeist. Zeitgeist was created in the hope that it would inspire people to start looking at the world from a more critical perspective, and to relay the understanding that very often things are not what the population at large think they are. The true understanding of events, both historical and modern, are crucial to the development, awareness, and spirituality of the human condition. Zeitgeist is an expose on the social fallacies that currently plague this fundamental progress by way of critically analyzing common political, religious, and economic understandings which most have assumed to be true. Peter Joseph, the creator of Zeitgeist. There's a movement called Occupy Wall Street, and I'm actually sending a shout out to you guys. This is what Project Addendum is about. When the movement came out, I was basically I was in jail. I was in prison for wearing a Kevlar vest. In the state of Texas, it's illegal to wear a Kevlar vest if you had a felony prior. And well, me being an environmentalist and activist, I suffered several attacks, a lot of attacks that basically they drove me to the point of having to protect myself. I can't carry a gun because I have a felony. It's part of the exodus it's part of the exodus. But I was intercepted because I was going to give a presentation over the Zeitgeist movement, over capital expansion, over the innovation of how to bring jobs into the economy, and very, very credible notes at that. But it was part of it's mutiny, in a sense. But they arrested me for the position of a Kevlar vest, and I bailed out, and to kind of to express tyranny, in a sense. Basically, they released the Occupy Wall Street movement, which the platform for the Occupy Wall Street movement, by all means, should be the Zeitgeist movement and Bill Still's The Money Masters. It gives you a lot of insight on other factors that are relevant for the addressment of positive social reform. The fact of the matter is the United States of America is not a country, it's a corporation. It's sad to say that, but other facts of the matter, it solidifies such notion. And since to the Occupy Wall Street movement, I wasn't able to advocate as I wanted to here in San Antonio, considering my commitment in a sense. So they kind of, from my understanding, they cut it short, the whole movement, because basically they felt that it was a reason that people were using as a justification for rebellion in a sense, and it just fell under regionally wise, it was unethical, considering the town is basically its revenue is pretty much tourist based. So since they cut that short. But to the Occupy Wall Street movement, it's Project Addendum does not advocate protest. There was an incident that happened in Africa. U2 made a song called Sunday Bloody Sunday, where a certain amount of people went out there to a peaceful protest, supposedly, and somebody threw a rock at a guard, and the guards began to open fire. 13 people were killed. And luckily they didn't use electricity, Something like that, I tell you guys, a lot of bad things could happen to you guys. You can get electrocuted in those protests, they become movements in sense. It's happened before, if you look at the recall and deception of the American public that is justified in these two addendums, which is Peter Joseph's Zeitgeist movement and Bill Still's The Money Masters. I'd say it's illogical to think that it wouldn't happen again. But again, to protest, which is it's unethical on my behalf, to take commendable action, basically addressing this crisis, which is a crisis in consciousness. Well, it's going to fall under capitalism. Considering America a corporation, you're going to need money to make money, or to need money to put your agenda forward. And then, so the capitalization issue, it's going to have to fall back on the regulatory state, which in sense, it's going to fall under the premises of tax revenue and resource management. In sense, to bring things into account beyond Peter Joseph, well, tax revenue is not accounted for, not on our behalf, in sense. For corporate calculation, yes, but not on our behalf. If 500,000 people in the poverty state got together and declared austerity from the key province dictation, and began to contribute money to the addressment of the poverty state, which they would likely coin it as communism. When you look at the technicality of the corporatocracy, it's technically corporate communism. But these 500,000 people would accumulate $2.5 million. Every Friday, 500,000 people accumulate $2.5 million. How much influence can you have on the educational infrastructure, on the corrections, disciplinary infrastructures? It's a crisis in consciousness. It's pretty bad. The situation is pretty bad. That's it. I'm going to have to run another episode. I'm going to run two concurrent because I keep it's being in the digital world, everything tends to get signaled out. But the next episode, which is right back to this one, is going to be called I'm going to be addressing global warming, in a sense. But just to the people that are in Occupy Wall Street, in a sense, if you're going to protest, or anything, it's for a regulatory state. And I don't advocate protest, like I said, it's for capitalism that I'm in advocation of. But it's for a regulatory state. And it's tax revenue and resource management. Thank you.